Hello and a warm welcome to everyone joining us today. I hope you're having a fantastic day so far. Before we begin, a quick heads up. This session is going to be deeply security focused. If you operate DNS, DHCP, or manage core network services, you're in exactly the right place. And even if you've joined out of curiosity to understand what modern DNS, DHCP security really looks like, you're absolutely welcome. You're going to walk away with a different perspective on how attackers operate today because here's the reality. DNS and DHCP are no longer just infrastructure services. They've quietly become frontline attack surfaces. Every query, every lease, every device can be an entry point, and attackers know it and exploit it. The problem is that in many organizations, DNS and DHCP still run as operational silos. They work, they resolve, they assign, but they don't defend. They sit outside the security stack, and that gap is exactly where modern threats sneak in. And that's why the industry is moving toward a full stack security first DDI architecture, a model where DNS, DHCP, and IPAM continuously feed security context. Anomalies are surfaced before escalation. Behavior that doesn't look human is flagged instantly, and response is automated, not delayed. Modern attacks don't start with firewalls. They start silently in DNS and DHCP. A harmless query, a lease request that looks normal, a device you never approved, everything appears routine until the damage is already underway. That's why you need a DDI platform that's not just functional but security aware by design. One that can detect, predict, and fight back. This is the foundation of full stack defense in depth DDI, and that's precisely what DDI Central brings to the table. Platforms like DDI Central exist not to replace your SOC teams or firewall, but to shield the very services your network cannot live without. So before we dive into the presentation, I'd like you to confirm in the chat panel if you could hear me and see the presentation. Here's what we'll cover. We are going to break down the full journey of DNS DHCP security from intelligence to anomalies, from behavioral detection to automated response. How contextual threat intelligence gives you global aware protection against zero-day attacks. How anomaly detection exposes attacks before escalation. How DNS detection and response automates containment. How endpoint CVE insights align DDI with the larger security ecosystem, and how all of this delivers security ROI through reduced downtime and faster resolution. Let's look at the image on screen. This is the architecture behind a security first full stack DDI solution, the one thing that can't be optional anymore. Protect DNS and DHCP, one tool or one layer is no longer enough. That's why DDI Central uses a four-layer defense in depth strategy where each shield strengthens the next. So here comes the first layer, the DNS firewall, which blocks known malicious domains instantly. These known malicious domains are the ones that you feed into the application. So this is something that you locally provide. And next is the threat intelligence layer. This provides live global awareness. So you procure threat feeds from prominent threat intelligence vendors, or you can bring your own intel and you plug into DDI Central, and those domains that are flagged by these vendors will not be queried from your infrastructure at all. And the third layer, the anomaly detection layer, identifies the unknown threats. Here's where the magic happens. This It screens the behavior of DNS and DHCP services in your infrastructure, and it uses NML driven tactics and analyzes the behavior and points out to the anomalies. And the final layer is the DNS detection and response. This automatically shuts down suspicious behavior, whether be any suspicious clients in your network or suspicious domains that your anomaly engine points to. If a threat bypasses one layer, it meets the next. If intelligence doesn't know it, behavior will reveal it. If behavior looks suspicious, response isolates it. So this architecture eliminates single points of failure and gives DNS DHCP the same layered security that modern workloads already enjoy. So let's start with the first shield, which is the DNS firewall. This is your instant block layer, the known bad, the known malicious, all gone in milliseconds. So it has got certain components to it, which is the RPZ zones, the response policy zones. So this lets you enforce blocking at the source. And not just blocking, it allows you to configure custom redirection. Say you have certain domains in the internet that you would want your end users to not access at all. In that case, you can just create an RPZ zone and you can create custom redirection rules, and you can create your own records to it. So whenever they try to access that particular domain, they'll be directed to the records that you host in these RPZ zones and not to the ones that are available in the internet. And for the response rate limiting, this was mainly configured to prevent DNS amplification attacks. Say certain botnets are trying to contact your DNS servers, and they are they engulfing your DNS servers with unimaginable number of queries. These are automated, like for every 5 seconds you'll be receiving around hundreds of queries. This will overwhelm your DNS infrastructure, and that's when the attacker will make way into your infrastructure. So these kind of attacks, if need to be curbed at the source, we need response rate limiters, and DDI Central provides full context to these DNS queries. So you will know which host has has made a query, all these host metadata like the MAC address, the host name, the VLAN. So you can easily point out the subnet or the VLAN from which the query was made, and you can prevent lateral movement within the particular subnet or VLAN. It also produces security analytics, which gives you full-fledged DNS logging for post-incident analysis or for forensics by the admins. This will give the admins the context they need for surgical response. Firewall isn't just about blocking, it's about blocking with intelligence. So let's see how this is brought to life in DDI Central. So let me log in as an admin. So here under the DNS module, we'll be going under the configurations part where the DNS firewall policies are located. So let's get into the config module, and there you have DNS firewall. Here you can add the domain names one by one, or you can import them in bulk using a CSV file. You can create your own categories. So we have different categories over here. You can create your own category, and you can associate certain domain names under that category, or you can import any one of the categories that we have by default. Depending on your industry, you can import one of these domain names into the block list. Else you can just add them one by one, and you have a feature like block subdomains. If you're not sure about the number of subdomains under a particular domain name, you can just check this. So this will block all the subdomains that your end users are trying to access within your infrastructure. And you can also give a redirection IP in case if this is a common redirection IP. In case of response policy zones, you are given custom records for them to access, right? But in here with DNS firewall, the redirection IP is common for all the domains, whether they access facebook.com or instagram.com, they'll be redirected to this one common IP. In order to bring some customization to this, the response policy zones can be configured. So you can get into the DNS manager, and in here you'll be seeing you can add a domain of type response policy zone. Here, when you create a response policy zone, a new dedicated domain name will be created. Even though those domains are publicly available elsewhere, you can host a response policy zone and make sure that the end users accessing querying the particular domain name will make sure they get the response from the records that you create within the response policy zone. Say if I have a facebook.com as a response policy zone, they'll not be getting responses from the actual facebook.com, but internally from your response policy zone, as long as they are participating in your network. So that's about a response policy zone. And for all the DNS firewall blocked domains and for the response policy zones, you get query analytics. So when you choose block domains over here, you will be able to see the query analytics for it. So this will show you a list of domains and you'll get to see the analytics for it. So let me show you elsewhere. So the analytics module will be something like this, and you can get into a domain name and you can see the key performance indicators, or you can choose a particular server in case you have a lot many servers in a particular cluster or a site. You can just choose the server by its name or IP, and then you can observe the analytics for the domain name, be it a block domain name or a hosted domain name. You can just look over it over here. And even for a response policy zone, DDI Central captures the query response and query and response analytics. So when you click through it, you will get to see the record type access and the response code generated, and the IP that was trying to make queries to this particular domain name. So that's about the query analytics for the block domains and the response policy zones. So we'll quickly shift to the response rate limiting policies. So here we will get into the DNS module and get into the config part. It's shown here. So we offer something called the protection template. This was mainly given to customize the so if you're a huge enterprise and you're receiving a large number of queries, you can customize this for your according to your capacity. So if you would like to customize these configurations, the rate limiting is basically it'll throttle the responses when your infrastructure is facing an abundant number of queries. So in that case, in order to stop your DNS servers and resolvers from getting overwhelmed, you can throttle the responses. You can exempt few trusted clients, and you can configure how many number of responses, identical responses that can be passed. That's all under your control. So if you're not satisfied with this, and if you need more elaborate configuration, you can just get into the config module. We have something called DNS options. So here you can give rate limiting, and you can find that option, and you have a vast number of fields where you can specify the time window within which the responses has to be throttled. So in case here, if I mention a slip rate of 2 and a time window of 5 within a 5-second interval, and if they're making n number of requests, every second request will be throttled, will be truncated, and they will not be getting a response from there, and that's how it breaks the chain. So that's how it throttles the responses and breaks the amplification attack. So this amplification attack, it just breaks the chain, but keeps allowing the queries after the particular time window. So it depends on the scale and all the configurations that you set over here. But it doesn't block the domain right away, but it only just lets them pass through as per the given conditions here, as per the limitations given here. So the actually the external attacker can make queries as much as possible, and it all depends on the values that you set here. And to block it right away, we have other intelligence layers, and we'll be exploring it further. So next we have the threat intelligence module. So this is your global awareness layer where you will have curated feeds updating in real time. Think of this as your global radar system. If the world knows a threat, you know it too instantly. So an attack happens in somewhere in US and you are here in India, and your threat intelligence feeds are automatically updated with the new threat in the market. So you know what are all the threats are emerging in the cybersecurity space, and you can defend your infrastructure from those kind of attacks. So DDI Central supports sticks or taxi feeds or custom taxi or sticks feeds. So it's like bring your own intel, and all these vendor vetted lists are continuously updated. So you connect once, you poll periodically, and you stay protected continuously. So let's see how this is brought to life in DDI Central. For this, we'll get into the threat intelligence module. And this is the dashboard. This is a common dashboard for all the sites. This is universal dashboard capturing all the key performance indicators. And here to add a new feed server or the sticks or taxi server, you'll have to get in here and you can add a server. You can select a vendor of your choice. Make sure that you have a license with one of these vendors, or else by default, if you purchase the threat intelligence module with DDI Central, you will have this by default, the advanced threat intelligence engine from Manage Engine Cloud DNS. So you can use that. This will continuously keep updating the threat feeds, so you don't have to worry about it. So in case your organization has other licenses as well, you can bring them over here, you can manage them centrally, and you can see all the sources. You can blend those sources, and your infrastructure is doubly secure. So all you need, you can also select a polling interval. Based on that, the feeds will be updated on your terms, and then you can just enable the configuration. So once the feed server is added and the feeds are synchronized with DDI Central application, you'll be able to see all the flagged domains over here all over the world. So here with the confidence score, when the confidence score is more than 50, it is blocked. So if it's just less than 50, it is considered benign. But after above 50, it is considered a threat, and hence it is blocked. So what happens here is you can just click on a particular, these are considered as indicators of compromise, right? So these are these indicators of compromise. You can have a deeper microscope over them, and you can observe how many times there were queries made to them. So in this reports, you can find Let me switch the date. Maybe I can choose a different domain. So for this indicator of compromise, you'll have a specific category if it's malware, phishing. So since this is a frozen demo model, I do not have much data over here. So if the categories will also be listed depending on the vendor's intelligence sources. So the categories will be listed and number of hits that were made from your infrastructure and its confidence score. Everything will be mentioned here, and you can see from which source, which vendor it has come from, and you can see the top threats. So you can see all the subdomains that were accessed within this particular domain name, and what are all the top affected hosts and the type of records that were actually accessed from your infrastructure. So all that you can view it from here. This gives more data for the admin to observe the indicators of compromise, and they can easily flag out these affected hosts. Actually, they don't do the flagging at all. It is automatically contained. So that part will be proceeding further in the coming segment in our webinar. So here in the reports, yes, these are the details that you will get to see. And once you get to the reports part, you can also export them as a PDF or as a CSV file for your SOC teams. So this will be very useful in terms of compliance and everything. And later on, we have the quarantine where the auto containment takes place. So here when you choose the DNS model, so we have two ecosystems. We support two ecosystems, Windows and Linux. Based on the ecosystem, we'll be carrying out the operations. So if you choose DNS and if you choose the quarantine method, we offer two types of quarantine methods, ACLs and client subnets. So in ACLs, what happens is it's all about the suspicious clients that are making the queries. The domain is actually blocked. Once it finds its place in the feed hub, it is blocked. So there's no worries about the domains now. It is only about the suspicious clients within your infrastructure. So what we do is put them in an ACL. If it's from a Linux environment, we put them in a restricted ACL. Or if it's from a Windows environment, we put them in a restricted client subnet. So what we do here is we isolate the device, we isolate the client, and we make sure that this device does not get a lease at all, does not make any queries to any domain. So any queries that this device makes does not reach the resolver at all. So that's the procedure here followed in under the DNS level quarantine. And for the DHCP level quarantine, what we do is when you choose the quarantine method as host, we create a restricted host. So this host will be in a isolated DHCP reservation kind of setting, and it will not receive any lease at all from the DHCP server. So it's basically isolated from the DHCP server. It cannot interact with your network at all. And if you use filter, this is for Windows environment where you filter out the device based on its MAC address. Even if the device tries to join your network through a different IP or through a different identity, it will never be allowed into your infrastructure. Once a client is placed in this page, once a client makes its way to this page, it can be only revoked by the admin. So all they can do is delete the entry and revive the client back into your network. So that's how the revival takes place. So this is completely auto containment, and there's no way the client, I mean the end devices, the suspicious devices, can be revived by themselves. It is only the admin, after detailed investigation, he can remove the client from the isolation or the quarantine. And If you're very much particular about the quarantine methods, we have a special setting for that. So we can get into our system settings, and for the threat intelligence module, we have something like this. Let me. It's on your terms, okay? So you have a DNS level blocking and DHCP level blocking. So it's up to you. You'll have to choose which methods you resort to. And in here in the system settings, you choose security and you'll see the threat intelligence module. Here you'll be the one choosing whether it's going to be quarantine through DNS or through DHCP. And for the reports, if you want to retain it for a considerable substantial amount of time, you can just choose the duration here, and the reports will stay in the application for the stipulated time. The threat feeds, the one limitation here is that they stop threats that already exist. Someone has fought it, someone has found it, someone has labeled it as threat, and that's why you're getting it on your feed. So it's not about what about the unknown threats that you will have to um, fight back without even looking at them. So the unknown threats, they a kind of sophisticated attack where you won't even know such covert operations are happening in your network infrastructure. They might look ordinary, but behind every simple move, they may make something that it would cause an immense breach. So you would not know about who is having the who is associated with the risk and who is benign and everything, right? So in that case, we need a more sophisticated way of protecting the network, and this is where the anomaly detection steps in, and it helps you fight the ones that don't even exist yet. So it will help you decode the behavior, and you can easily analyze and remove the ones that are riskier for your network. Think about the ones that your vendor has not even seen, or the signature has not even been decoded. The anomaly detection is here to serve you as an early warning radar. By anomalies, we have different types of anomalies that the world recognizes today. So these are the prominent ones that DDI Central helps you identify and keeps your network protected from these kind of anomalies. So they may appear normal, but it's actually a lot of operations has been orchestrated behind these kind of approaches. So here's what the attackers actually do: they do not announce themselves, they create patterns. DNS anomalies like DGA tunneling, enumeration, and R code spikes, and DHCP anomalies like duplicate IP, starvation attempts, excessive IAIDs, rapid leases, and across both DHCP v4 and v6, these behaviors all have one thing in common: they look harmless individually and extremely dangerous in aggregate. So, these kind of anomalies, your firewall can not even catch them, your SOC teams don't see them, but your DDI absolutely must know about them and immediately flag them. So, this is where the unknowns get exposed in anomaly detection. There's no signatures, no threat feeds, just pure behavioral analysis. So, here we are detecting DGA bursts, enumeration waves, starvation patterns, tunneling attempts, refusal storms, and because DDI Central continuously tightens baselines over time, your system gets more accurate, more adaptive, and more predictable day after day. So here also you get context-rich data that will enable the admin for faster validation, and it will shrink the exposure window. Say if you do not have the anomaly and certain intruder was actually being housed in your network infrastructure, can you imagine such a situation? In that case, it having an anomaly detection will help you shrink the exposure window, and there will be no delay of there will be zero delay exposure of hidden patterns and 100% adaptive continuous learning loop. So let me show you how anomaly detection is carried out in DDI Central. So for this, we'll be diving into the anomaly detection module. Let me reload. Let's have more data. So here, the insights dashboard is quite similar to the threat intelligence dashboard. It covers all the infrastructure level analytics. So you can see with one view, you can see all anomalies in your infrastructure, be it distributed or located in the same environment. You can just have a one window view across all your local and remote infrastructure. So you can see the count of the anomalies, whether they're stratified by their risk scores, like if they are it's highly critical and everything, you can see how many highly critical uh, anomalies are there, how many medium risk anomalies are there. You can just get into different services and you can see the whole risk stratification over there, and you can be well informed. And then you can see for the chosen time window, you'll be able to see the whole timeline of anomalies. So you can see for within the chosen time window, you can see how the anomalies have spread over the timeline. And then you can see the top DNS anomalies, top DHCP anomalies, top flag domains, and top domains ranked by its severity, the severity that the anomaly detection engine assigns, and the top 5 queried domains, the most popular domains queried in your infrastructure, and the suspicious clients categorized under DNS and DHCP respectively. So in this case, you can see the left-hand side is fully hyperlinked. So when your admin opens this insights dashboard, he'll be able to drill down further and he can get to the context without losing the context. He can get to the endpoint level information, and he can easily locate what are all the end devices that he has to attend to immediately. So in case if I choose a particularly anomaly like DGA, where there is domain names with high level of random strings and everything, you can just click on it and see the query analytics to it. So you can choose the server and you can see the query analytics to it. So based on the risk score, and you'll be able to see the whole timestamp when it was encountered first, and then you'll have a detailed description saying why it was blocked and why is it considered a threat, and if it's having an unusual TLD, you can it'll easily tell you why is it so, and if it has more risk factors involved, you can just click on this hyperlink over here. When you can't have too many descriptions here, right? So we've just kept a hyperlink to tell you there are too many risk factors, and hence the risk score is high for this domain name. So a domain name in a certain category does not just get categorized based on one single category. The category itself might have different risk factors, and based on that, if it gets if the criteria for many risk factors gets fulfilled, its risk score will be high in that particular category alone. If it's coming under DGA, and if it qualifies for all these risk patterns, it will be having a higher score. So hence it is having 75 risk score, and you can see what are all the risks associated with the domains, and you can also click through a domain name and you can see its analytics. And when you see its analytics, you get to see the IP that has made queries to it. So as of now, no analytics is available. So we'll just have to switch over. So back to the insights module. So this is the same for the DHCP anomalies as well. So when you have this anomaly, multiple IPs per client, you can see all the affected entities. Say you have these IPs being contested among clients. You can just see what are all the IPs involved and who are all the conflicting entities, or the clients are identified by their MAC address or DOID or IAID. And you can see all that along with timestamps and risk scores, the source location, all that listed in here for the reports. And you can apply any filter, and you can filter through the reports, and you can get the report table will get customized based on the filters you choose. And that's about the reports. And let's get into the quarantine module. Here you'll get to see all the suspicious clients that made access, that were trying to access the domain names with anomalous behavior, or the clients that showed suspicious DHCP behavior. So here, when you choose DNS and you choose the quarantine pathway, here you'll have three methods. So here, as per Linux, we block the host through ACL by putting them in a named ACL, restricted named ACL, and making sure that they can't make any queries to any domain ever until the admin comes and revokes them. And then we have the client subnet in for the Microsoft ecosystem, where we put them in a named client subnet, a restricted subnet. Yes. And we put them there, and we make sure that they do not make queries to any domains. And with DNS firewall, we actually block the domains. Here, we never spoke in threat intelligence about the blocking the domains, but here in anomaly detection, we are actually making a prediction, right? We do not even know if it is a threat or not. It could be a false positive too. It could be a genuine source also. So since it is showing a behavior, suspicious behavior, we are predicting it to be a threat, and we are blocking it. So how do we block a domain that exists somewhere on the internet? So it is through our DNS firewall. So in this case, when a particular domain name shows a suspicious behavior, we make sure that we import that into DNS firewall. So this way, any client in your network cannot even make queries to that particular domain name. That is, these domains will become forbidden domains for your infrastructure. So that's how this comes. We take an extra step when it comes to DNS level quarantining, and for DHCP, as always, as followed in the threat module, threat intelligence module, we create a restricted host, or we filter it out from our network using MAC filtering, DHCP MAC filtering, and yeah, that's about the anomaly detection module. Let me show you how DHCP MAC filtering is carried out in DDI Central. So we'll have to get in the config part where we have filter. Here you'll be entering the MAC addresses one by one, or you'll be importing them in bulk. But before that, you'll be choosing the DHCP servers involved, and then you'll be listing out the MAC addresses that you'd like to block away. These things are automated by DDI Central when anomaly detection is involved. So you can do it for your own infrastructure if you'd like to block certain devices, but if it is through anomaly detection or threat intel, we'll make sure that it is automated, so you don't have to do the blocking yourself. We'll do the blocking and you'll have to investigate further. So we've seen the DNS detection and response, which is nothing but the quarantine in both threat intelligence and the anomaly detection module. So we do automatic containment, and we block the DNS queries to the flagged domains, and we also make DHCP level quarantining, where the devices that showed suspicious behavior or devices that tried to make queries to the blocked domains are not given DHCP leases at all. So that is the kind of isolation we make when certain devices in your infrastructure are showing suspicious behavior, and all these activity trails are captured within DDI Central, as I showed you in analytics module as well as in the reports. It is completely documented with all the essential information, and then if you drill down, it will immediately take you to the leases part. So if you get into the DHCP reports, I mean anomaly detection, if you get into the DHCP part of the reports, you can see the entities that are affected. And if you click on a particular entity, say you're getting a duplicate IAID anomaly event, and if you click on it, there'll be a lot of devices contesting for the same IAID. If a particular, in case of a subnet starvation, we'll give you the subnet detail over here, and you can click over it and you can easily view the leases for that particular subnet. Say if you click on a particular subnet, you can see the leases for the subnet and see the whole timestamp, and you can easily locate a particular device by its MAC address. So this way, your admin can be assured if it is the whole of a subnet that is getting affected, or a certain host within a subnet. So in case of if a whole subnet is getting affected, you can easily view if it is going to be one or multiple subnets. You can easily locate the zones that are undergoing an attack, and you can easily quarantine them. So this involves less troubleshooting and less immediate response. You are here only to validate and investigate. That's it. By doing this, you reduce the dwell time. So you basically reduce the shrink the attacker's presence within your infrastructure. And even if they try to make a re-entry with different identity and all, they'll be blocked immediately, because their MAC address is the sole identity that we take to block them from our infrastructure. And we make sure with the risk stratification, we make sure that the admin gets to respond to the most riskiest anomaly, and not just the ones that do not need much attention. So we auto triage and show the risk stratification, and you can the admin can come and investigate without any rush. Since the pathways are just investigation and validation, so it's just zero touch containment over here. So attackers don't wait for you to respond, right? You'll have to immediately respond to them. There should not be any delay at all. So your containment shouldn't be waiting for you either. So we do the automatic containment so that you come and do the validation, investigation, or post incident analysis and everything. So that way, your infrastructure is secure and you don't have to rush. So here, the DDI Central application doesn't just warn you, it acts with you. And the layered protection makes DNS DHCP resilient by design and not by reaction. So this was a different approach to defend your network infrastructure. What we've seen today is not just one layer, not one tool, but a synergy of four layers together. And they were built on a layered intelligence that detects, predicts, and fights back. When was that last time that you saw a DNS firewall fighting back? So here we are actually taming those attackers back, and we are making sure that we are fighting back and protecting our infrastructure. And here, with the intelligent automation, with the ML driven detection and response for the anomaly detection module, you can you can not wait for a delayed response. So there should be a zero delay response, where automatic containment should happen by itself and no admin should be involved. So this defense in depth is applied to the most critical services in your infrastructure. Um, can become a very powerful weapon when, as the attackers are evolving and the security threats are evolving. You need a more powerful strategy, and we feel that defense in depth strategy of DDI Central can be a suitable strategy for your network infrastructure. And if you have any suggestions, or if you'd like to contact us for any queries, please do let us know, and let us know what kind of security strategies that you are using in your infrastructure. That will be helpful for us. We can have a discussion over it. And this extends to the larger part of the security system. So we have integrations with Endpoint Central, which does not only it gives you rich endpoint metadata that will help the admins. So in DDI Central, you can only see the leases, IPs, and the associated DNS records and everything, right? But here we take a step further and make sure that the admin, when he clicks through a lease, he can see the endpoint level metadata like the patch status summary, or the vulnerability scores of a particular device associated with the lease. So that can be digged, and that can be easily extracted within DDI Central. So that's possible. So the same approach we follow with Op Manager as well. With Op Manager, we give you uptime trends and deep device diagnostics. Basically, your IPAM becomes a diagnostic cockpit uh, when integrated with Op Manager. So it will also give you layer 2 traceability. So all that your admin wants is within a single window when it comes to DDI Central. So there's no need for jumping between tools, logging between tools, and toggling between the tabs. Nothing is so everything is so, you can keep your admins focused on one single window rather than toggling between other consoles and everything. So you can just have them on one window, and you can have a 360-degree view of your whole network infrastructure in terms of security. That's possible with DDI Central. Thank you for being a part of this webinar. I hope you had a wonderful time listening to our security strategies. If you're interested, please reach out to us at ddi-support@manageengine.com. We'll be able to set up a 30-day free trial for you. You can explore the features, all the premium features, and you can make a decision. So we are available 24 cross 7, so you can we can help you through all the setup process and all. And we also have an interactive demo up in the website, so you can just get into it and you can explore the features and let us know. Thank you. This is your host Akshara signing off. Bye.